Okay.
which was quite a good one, actually, I thought. But we'll do that in a minute.
Right.
Over to you, Tim Bellini.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the final edition of the Replimat for 2023. The Replimat, of course, being a regular series of chats in which two intelligent nerds go through Star Trek Deep Space Nine episode by episode in chronological order. One of those is, or certainly started off as a newbie, and that's me, Tim, and the other one is a seasoned fan, and he is...
Still a seasoned fan, and still Andy, and still watching Voyager. It takes a lot longer than DS9. True fact.
And so we are seeing out 2023 with Season 2, Episode 17, Playing God. Story by Jim Trombetta.
Again.
Teleplay by Jim Trombetta and Michael Piller. Directed by David Livingston, I presume. And according to Netflix, Arjun, a Trill initiate... for God's sake. Arjun, a Trill initiate, trying to qualify for joining with a symbiont, is nervous that he must study under Dax.
It's nice when the blurbs actually match the episode.
Because
that's the core story.
That pretty much sums it up entirely. Yes.
Yeah, really well. But we'll get to that shortly.
We will. So, Andy.
Yes, hello. Hi.
How have you been? What have you been up to? Tell us all about it.
Since our last DS9.
In about 3 minutes.
Okay. Work. I think that's pretty much it, to be fair. It's been a very... as we near Christmas, I mean, this next week, because obviously in the real world, we're not even got to Christmas yet. But as we're near Christmas, dear viewer, on New Year's Eve, I kind of want to make a prediction at how this week's going to go. I expect it's going to dip, which would be nice. And our last shift before will be quite easy, because the past few have been a bit rough. But that's work, especially this time of year. I mean, everywhere. If you work in any type of job that provides a service, I think obviously this time of year is a nightmare. Full stop for everybody. There's no way you're going to have a nice, easy, chilled time.
That's good.
So it's basically work, busy. I did finish today season 2 of the X-Files, because as Tim knows, after we recorded the episode in which I said to him, I think I'm on the episode that I left off at. Turns out, next couple of episodes, still I've been like, no, these are still familiar. And it turned out, actually, the episode I told you, Tim, when I told you on Twitter, I found this episode so-and-so. Turns out, no, it actually wasn't. It was actually about 3 episodes after that. So I was literally about 6, 7 episodes to the end of this season. So I was way ahead. So it took me a while to work it out, because I was like, this is really familiar. So I thought, well, I'm going to look at the blurbs on Wikipedia, see if I can. I was like, no, I don't remember that one. Okay, episode 17 or whatever. So I was like, okay, not 8 then. So it's a bit of a difference. So I finished season 2, so that's good. I've actually progressed finally. It's decent in the finale, actually. Nice cliffhanger, which is always fun. I am also, you may recall, some time back I started going through Red Dwarf. You may recall.
Yes, I do recall you mentioning it.
I took a break from it, and I came back as my comedy thingy. And I've watched a couple of episodes of that today, so I'm just finished one episode to go for season 5, I think.
Okay, so that's 5. The last of the regular seasons where they actually have the Red Dwarf ship.
No. It's at the moment. It's it might be 4. I think it's 4. It might be 5. Probably it's 4. Well, the other one. It's basically they're still in Starbuck. They're still looking for Red Dwarf at the moment.
Oh, that's Series 6.
So is it
Series 6 when they're in Starbuck and they've lost Red Dwarf?
Is it? Nah, it can't be. Well, I suppose it might be.
Is it the series that's got Gunmen of the Apocalypse
yes.
in? Yeah, that's season 6.
Okay,
or
right. In that
series.
case, I'm on season 6.
Okay.
YouTube will get me saying it accurately. Uh, yeah, so just nearly finished season 6. I've got just a remember one. Red Dwarf's a puzzling one to me.
Yes.
I mean, it's funny. There's a reason why it lasted so long. It's a funny show. Um, and I seem to recall first time round I watched it just before I think it got reset. I seem to recall there was like some explosion at the end of a season, which then it came back and everything had changed or something had happened. I think that's just before they found Red Dwarf again. I forget. It's been a long time. But what puzzles me about Red Dwarf, like the last one I just watched is Rimmer World, and almost every single time the so-called premise of the episode, which is usually the title, is almost like the last 5 minutes of an episode. It's literally 20 minutes of the build-up to like the Rimmer World thing, of course, because that was the whole point. Or they go to Rimmer World and they find all these clones of him, and that's obviously the big trailer, blah blah blah. But it's almost always just the last 5 minutes of an episode, whereas all the rest of it is just all the setup, and it's a weird thing. I don't know. Narratively, I find it very odd that you have
It
the
is.
setup that takes so long to get to the punchline. I mean, sometimes fun, on the way, but it's like I seem to have a hair in the middle of my eye somewhere.
No.
But yeah, it's a odd show.
It is. I rewatched, I know rewatched because I was at secondary school when it started, and my one of my best mates kept saying, "Oh, did you see Red Dwarf? Did you see Red Dwarf?" And I didn't know what the hell he was talking about for a couple
What?
of weeks, and then eventually he thought, "Oh, okay." I looked in the Radio Times, and I think I picked up the third episode of the first series or the fourth, and then watched it and thought, "My God, this is brilliant." And then just watched it, watched all of it through until season 7 when I just it wasn't working for me anymore. But when I watched it all again, I say recently, probably within the last sort of 5 years or so, um, it was very clear that stylistically the first and second seasons are quite
Oh,
similar, and
okay.
there's obviously a story. There's a story arc going on there with Lister and Kachansky. Hey, well done.
Got it.
With Lister and Kachansky and all of that, and then they make a decision at the beginning of the third series. They make a decision suddenly that all of that goes out the window, and they're just going to focus on
Just
lads
these.
in space,
Yeah,
and so the humour becomes broader.
Mm.
Holly, the whole thing with Holly, kind of, it sort of just fizzles out a bit, really.
Well, yeah, Holly's basically not really been in much of this
Because
season because
Crichton
yeah.
Crichton can now do what a lot of what Holly was doing.
Mm.
Um, and at the time I found it's for kind of depth charge humour, and
Mm.
a little bit like Blackadder was as well. Really, it's sort of sarcastic, sort of depth charge humour. I found it very funny as a teenager at school, but watching it now, I kind of pine for what was lost from the slightly more gentle stuff in the first
Yeah.
couple of series, and I would like to have just seen that story arc kind of followed through rather than just
Well, yeah, the
brushed to the
series
side.
definitely goes through several reinventions as it goes along. And obviously, another one's coming up soon. Is it? I seem to recall there's a season. It might be season 7 actually. I can't remember how far I got into it. Where they basically recorded it as live, practically.
Well, no, it all was, and
I mean, no, I mean, it's obviously in front of an
seasons
audience,
one to
but I mean,
six.
isn't there one where
I,
literally they're filming the entire episode in order live, so they go from set to set? I feel sure, and it just didn't work. I just had this
oh
like
wow, I don't know.
vague.
I know
Mm,
the change in season 7 is that they film it, and then they pre-film it all, and then
right,
they show it to us, to an audience, and record a laughter track afterwards,
right,
which was really odd because you don't get the characters responding to the audience in the same
right.
way, and you
Yeah,
can tell,
like in Rimmel,
there's
like in
obviously moments
Animal.
where they're holding back to wait for the laugh to finish,
Yeah,
but that's all part of watching a TV
Well, yeah.
sitcom. It's the it's the deal
Evolution.
with the audience that you have.
Yeah.
So with the films, the pre-film stuff, I would rather watch that without a laughter track.
Mm.
And then season 8, they went back. They pre-filmed some, and they went back and did live studio audience stuff. So
Because 8 is the original last series, isn't it?
yes,
And then
7
Gap,
and 8 came a lot
Activate,
came a few years after the first 6 because there was a
yeah.
bit of scandal and stuff.
Yeah,
And
and there's
then they've
eventually.
done loads with Dave since,
Mm.
and it's well.
Well,
Are you
I
going to
will
watch? Are
get
you going to
that.
watch the later stuff?
Of course, you know me, completist. Go and
Well,
watch
I
stuff.
won't. Yeah, I won't.
Even
I won't.
crap.
I have a particular view on that stuff.
Oh, cool. Well, when I get to it, eventually, I'll bring it
Then
up.
yes,
Yeah,
I
so
will impart.
I haven't done much this week, to be fair. Obviously, Cell Block. Oh, actually, a big thing happened in Cell Block for me this week, dear
Oh
viewer. I know you're
yes.
fascinated. I reached 225 episodes, but
Mm-hmm.
224 was a milestone in that one of the very original characters leaves for good, which is the first of the original characters leaving for good. Because obviously, soap opera characters come, then they go, then they come back again. You know, like they've left for good, but they come back again, and that's happened a few times.
Naughty.
Yeah, yeah. A few characters have gone, but they've returned already. You know, but this is the first one who was there from the very first episode who actually leaves, and this is it. She never ever comes back. So it's quite a big thing, and it's quite
Yeah.
fun because I must have seen this episode back in the day because I remember her being in it a lot. But I also remember the character that eventually replaces her, but there's a little gap between this new character who fills her. Because I don't know if you ever heard of the character of Vera, or they call her Vinegar Tits. Yeah.
No,
Uh,
oddly enough.
okay, well, she's the harsh. She's the harsh screw. Although when you see her in her personal life, she's obviously a very broken person, which is why she's so work is all she's got because her family life, her mothers, and all this stuff is always horrible, horrible. But she gets replaced eventually with a very similar kind of screw, initially similar, but much, much, much worse. But we haven't got there. So it's a nice milestone to see. And actually, again, I, I assume I would have seen it, or possibly she just wasn't there one day and it didn't really occur to me that she was gone. Don't know.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago. But so yeah, nice milestone. 225 episodes in, so I've still got a fair few to go, but I'm getting there slowly. But honestly,
Good
I've not
stuff.
really done much else. I'm still going through the John Grisham book.
Yeah, don't read Jim Grisham. He's terrible.
Yeah, don't want him. He's trash. And if there is a real Jim Grisham out there and you're happily watching, we don't mean
Sorry.
you. This is a purely hypothetical Jim Grisham. Yeah. So not really done much, to be fair. Oh, I did record a commentary thing this past week too. You might be familiar with it. Viewer Andy Tim, as Tim was with me recording it. But we've done,
Yes.
by the way, just in case you're wondering, Doctor Who episodes 5 to 7. Go check that out. That was good. That was quite fun.
It was.
But yeah,
It was
so
indeed.
that was my week. Not a lot, to be fair. It's just this time of year, work really is. That's pretty much it. And Tim,
Yeah, well, I suppose
it's week. I'm expecting not to be too dissimilar.
it's not hugely dissimilar. No, I did manage to finish reading A Christmas Carol before Christmas, which is good, and as is also sort of traditional for me these days, I watched the film Scrooge with Alastair Sim,
Nice.
which I didn't like the first time I watched it because it played fast and loose with the story, and then I watched it again and thought it was wonderful. So that was that's a film I changed my opinion of. I watched that, and then I watched the BBC adaptation of A Christmas Carol from 1977 with Michael Hordern in it.
Let's do a very Christmas Carol mode then.
Yeah, I mean, I've got like a Dickens box set, a DVD box set, and
where I was going to go then.
And I've watched the Christmas Carol adaptation loads of times because I've had it for a few years, but never watched any of the others. And I keep meaning to, and just haven't got around to it. And this year, after I watched the Christmas Carol, I thought, oh, sod it, I'm going to start at the beginning. So I put Pickwick Papers on, which is it was one I remember watching, or I was aware that I watched when it was on back in 1985 because it was Sunday afternoon or Sunday tea time telly, and it's wonderful. I read the book of a couple of years back and thought it was all right, but not as good as I was hoping. The TV adaptation is lovely. It's nice, kind of gentle Dickensian humour, larger than life characters and all that stuff. It's great, and some wonderful turns by some great British character actors. One of which, and I was attracted by his voice first, is Howard Lang, who was Hawg in the older male caveman in An Unearthly Child, and it was purely his voice because he's got such a distinctive. I always assumed he must be like Canadian or something, but he's not. He ordinarily talks that way.
Right.
But yeah, so this was him 22 years later, playing Phil Daniels, who is playing Sam Weller, and Howard Lang plays his father, old Mr. Weller. So I thought, oh, that's great. It's good to see him in something else.
Well, say the only Christmas Carol I have that's a visual medium is Catherine Tate's Nan's A Christmas Carol.
Oh, really?
Hysterically funny with David Tennant. David Tennant. I'm not on the whiskey. Happy New Year. I'm on the coffee. He plays the ghost of Christmas Present, I believe. Very very Russell Brand in his delivery and stuff. It's hysterical. It is, they're very funny together.
Okay, well, maybe I'll look out for that sometime.
Yeah, I imagine that's going to be on iPlayer.
Most people tend to love the Muppet Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
I don't. I really don't. It doesn't do anything for me, the Muppet Christmas Carol at all. I don't know why. I watched it again last Christmas on Disney Plus and thought, no, it's just. So yeah, I've been working obviously, and then reading and watching A Christmas Carol, and that's probably about it. So
your exciting week.
Exactly. Yes.
I think I've time off soon then.
I will have some. I will. Yes, in real terms, I will have some time off over Christmas.
Yeah, I have. I'm only working out on Fridays, so I'll have a nice 4-day weekend. So that'll be nice because we have Christmas Eve, obviously Christmas Day and Boxing Day off. But I'm also just happen to be off the day after or whatever, so it works out quite nicely. Nice.
Lovely.
And the weekend after that, I've got a 3-day weekend, so I'll take that as well. Thank you very much. It's nice that New Year's Day is right and Christmas Day is landing on a Sunday because that's usually my work day, so it gives me an extra day where I don't have to worry about work, and it's lovely.
It's Monday, isn't it? It's a Monday. Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve are the Sunday.
Is it? Hang on.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
21st, 22nd, 21st. Oh, yeah. Haha. Correct. That was just a pop quiz. But either way. Okay, well,
Either way,
I'm not working anyway, so I still get that day off. So I still got a 3-day weekend. So I knew what I meant. It's just,
Yes,
details.
This is good.
Details, schmeetails.
Anyway,
speaking of details, shall we talk playing God?
Tim. Yeah. So this was. I enjoyed watching this actually, but it's a funny one.
Mm-hmm.
It's a funny. I walked away with the distinct impression that it was a bit messy.
Okay.
I didn't. I don't know. I don't know whether I thought perhaps it was just maybe poorly directed, or perhaps a script draft away from being perfect.
Could it be?
But,
a thought did occur to me when I was watching it I suppose the B story, which would be the whole micro universe thingy.
Yes.
Wasn't any one character story. because usually the B plot is usually focused on one particular character, obviously ancillary, but
Yes, I think you might be right there.
but that one was very much everybody had a bit to play. Nobody was the main focus, and then it shifted briefly to focus on Cisco doing this little tour while he's trying to work out what to do about this thing. Then you had that little random thing about Jake, which is
Yes,
nice.
who's
It was
fallen in love with a
nice bit
whore.
of serialized sort of stuff going down. So I don't. Maybe that's what it was. It's just the whole. Because as I said, the B plot is often a focus on one character, like the A plot. Usually, a focus on one or two. Whereas
Yeah.
this was very much everybody had a bit, but nobody was an actual focus as such.
Yeah.
Possibly.
I think that's probably a contributing factor. But yeah, so I felt it lacked focus, and so yeah, that really would figure out. I couldn't quite work out why, but I was also waiting for right from the start with the Cardassian voles.
Goes nowhere, doesn't it?
I was I thought, oh god, this has got the Pied Piper of Hamelin written all over it, and then of course Bashir sends in his penny whistle.
I thought that was a nice one.
But they still didn't do anything with it, and it was still left unresolved at the end. It's like, for God's sake, sort the voles out.
I'm pretty sure the whole thing comes back later, possibly this season. But yeah, it's they've mentioned them before, but this is the first time we've actually seen what they look like. They even got the little spoon head things that the Kardashians have, which was obviously a little gimmick. Yeah, it is weird, isn't it? As I say, yeah, because you've got the A story, you've got a B story, and you've got a sort of C story that's just there a little bit for Jake, and then you've got a D story about the Vols, which goes nowhere anyway.
Yeah.
It's just a bit of random weird comic relief while Dax is off doing her thing before they can bring the university story thing in. Yeah, it's a bit unfocused. Maybe it's
I was just waiting for. I kind of predicted, not necessarily exactly where it would go, but vaguely where it was going. I was just waiting for Arjun to kind of see through his kind of initiation by resolving the situation, either with the voles or with this blue glow mini universe thing. So it kind of, yeah, I was kind of at that point I was thinking, oh, okay, so I was ticking boxes in my head, thinking it is, this is ticking boxes as a script, but I did enjoy watching it, and I actually enjoyed it more as it went through. Particularly, I think I enjoyed Arjun's journey.
Yeah, I think that was interesting. I like it revealed some interesting stuff about trills that we maybe have been hinted at, but certainly nothing that's been definitively explored. And I quite like the more we learn about the trill, the less we realise we knew.
And they do it very well, because they don't. It's never an info dump thing. So it's always done through legitimate character. And we're
learning more and more about Dax as we're going along, which is quite fun too. Because remember, we've mentioned, well, I certainly mentioned a few times how in this season in particular, they're getting a handle on who Dax is, and they're realizing she's not that serene, wise character they had her to be initially. They even kind of poke fun at that in this episode. It's like, oh, was you expecting me to be all this and this and that? Well, you'll find I'm not. Which I thought that was quite knowing and kind of very modern meta. But yeah, so they obviously begin to get a grasp that Dax is this very fun-loving. I've lived all this, but they play it and very much say it that she's now settling into who she now is. So they make it a part of the journey, not we got the character wrong, so we'll just ignore that. They're actually making it a deliberate thing where she's just settling into who she now is.
Yeah, I clocked that towards the end. I thought, okay, that's quite nicely done, just so that you can't turn around and say, well, yeah, she's clearly nothing like she was.
You've changed your mind
in the first place. So, but yeah, so I enjoyed a lot of that, and I, I liked a lot of what was going on. As I said, I just thought it was. I think it's that B plot with the universe thing that's just.
It's funny, the B plot, I'm watching it, at least at the beginning of it, and I'm thinking, this is not very interesting to me, the whole concept. I mean, the concept's fundamentally interesting that they've just happened to found a universe in formation. But yeah, and they don't really do a lot with it. It just becomes more of a MacGuffin towards the end anyway.
Yeah.
But it does instigate a few nice character moments for everybody, which is quite fun. And you have this nice.
Even Odo popped up for his little brief moment and has but again, he has got a nice little Odo moment. But it's all, I'm just thinking, who else?
Like last week, really, as well.
Yeah, who else are they going to? Who else haven't they had in to comment on this? And I think they've pretty much covered everyone.
What Odo did say, his argument, which was, I like that they kind of pitted him a little bit against Kira, because it nicely reminds you that these two may be very close, but they don't always agree, which I think is important because nobody in reality agrees on everything. But like his point of view and his argument was almost the same as his argument last time episode on DS9 in regards to who are we to say how life is defined? Who are we to say, which is basically exactly what he said this time as he did. Last time it was about the holograms, this time it's about these new species that we don't know what's going on in this microverse, so it's not up for us to basically play God. Which I like, true. Nice and consistent.
And I was going to say something, and it's completely
doesn't just happen to me.
Yeah, no. Oh well, no, it's gone.
Win.
Don't know what the hell it was. It's gone.
Yeah, I think you were talking about like everybody pitches in, and I mean, it's nice to see everybody just doing their thing. Like even the Vol stuff, you have some nice moments with Quark.
Oh, that was it.
You get the moment with Quark and Kira having the antagonistic.
It's the Kira Quark thing. She's really that's really ramped up a lot more
recently
now. She's being actively nasty and aggressive, and much more openly now, I think, than she has been before.
Again, like you say, it's only in the last few episodes that we've had a few scenes with that. Actually, last two, right?
Yeah, just the last two.
Odo was off with Dax, and Quark's were like, I can get away with stuff, and Kira's like,
no, you
just
can't.
to remind you how much I don't like you, and we get a bit more of this. So,
yeah, there's a definite step change.
Yeah,
there. But again,
it was always there, but
not nothing that flies in the face of what we've had already. It's just up. They just ramped it up a little bit. So, but yeah,
it's nice. But yeah, I mean, I'd say the Beast conceptually is a bit dull, but they did enough with the characters in it that at least it made it interesting to watch, because generally we're enjoying spending time with these characters even at this early point in the series.
It's very It was a very Star Trek plot, that B plot. I thought the concepts that it was talking about, and actually this was another episode where the sci-fi talk didn't stand out, it didn't stick out rather.
Right.
So it felt natural as part of the flow of the dialogue. It felt natural as it came out of people's mouths. It's which is good. And I know you were saying last week about whether a break from it had perhaps kind of changed my attitude or mellowed my attitude towards it. I think this time I was wondering that again, but if there's nothing that makes me jolt, then I think then it's all right. None of this did.
Well, I think I mean, I know we did consider maybe it was a little break to help, but I think the latter half of this season so far is generally stronger anyway. I mean, it started off strong. There was definitely a dip in the middle, definite,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there's a few episodes I enjoyed more than you, but there's a definite general dip in story quality, if nothing else. But certainly the second half of the season has picked up in terms of story. I mean, again, the micro-universe thing, not that interesting. It's a very generic Star Trek-y type of sci-fi idea. But the thing with Dax and Arjun was really fun and good, interesting stuff to watch.
Yes,
Very
and
DS9.
that was very DS9. As is obviously the background stuff with that Jake's fallen in love with a woman of ill repute.
Has she been mentioned already? I've got a feeling she must have done.
Dabo girls just get mentioned as Dabo girls.
Well, no, I'm just wondering because
I have seen. I did see. I do recall seeing him with a Dabo girl in a previous episode.
No,
Where
I
he was
think because
giving
I'm
us some
sure I may be
tuition.
mistaken, but I've got a feeling that we knew he was schooling a double girl before.
Yes,
I'm sure we'd already told about this.
You did say schooling, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Not spooning or whatever you thought I may have said. Schooling. What did you think I said?
Well, the sound broke up slightly there, so I don't wish to commit myself. Yeah.
But no, I think that's definitely been mentioned before because we know he did it with Nog as well, so it absolutely tracks. But no, it's a nice little moment, a bit out of the blue in this story, but again, it's them dipping their toes into trying to serialize as much as the network will allow them at this point.
Yeah,
which is quite nice. So it's not. I'll say background noise. It's not. It's background story. All the characters are constantly developing and having lives. Whereas in some shows, like some of the Star Treks, especially, and some later Star Treks, it often comes across as if when they're off screen, nothing happens to them.
Yeah.
Whereas here, you always get a sense that stuff has happened and it's continuing to happen. And every now and then we get a little look into remind us, oh, this is going on, don't forget. It's like, oh, yeah, so this is going somewhere. So that's nice.
Yeah.
And obviously the Jake thing is going somewhere. So, yeah, they're definitely getting better at it, I think.
The B plot, I think, is probably a story that could have been done in almost any other Star Trek series.
And most sci-fi series, really.
But yes, it's quite a generic sci-fi concept, isn't it? But thankfully that doesn't detract from the overall appeal of the episode.
I think I agree.
So I just wonder with that whether, like you said before, whether it would have been more effective if it had been only one or two characters that focused on trying to resolve
the
situation. But
maybe.
I suppose looking at the program or looking at the season as a whole arc, it's maybe it does the series more favors overall to have everyone there just kind of chipping in, because it's a reminder to the audience that sorry, a bit of wind. A reminder to the audience that there's
the food I've been eating.
that they live and work there, and it's not and everyone has a bit of input on these things. So
again, I think it's a nice enough home. Sorry, I just read something because you read something on and you just end up saying it. I mean, well, I'm thinking, what can we do to make this New Year episode a little bit different? I'm just like, can I find some fun quiz questions for Tim? What was I saying? Yeah, I think it's a good episode. I think it's a nice one. I like the whole Dax stuff I said. I think the B story is it's okay. But yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. There have been a lot better episodes in this series. There have been an awful lot worse episodes. So just simply for the Dax development, alone, it's worth watching. So
Yeah, I would concur. I would concur. Trying to
you
find
would.
some good questions for DS9 that you can be like, just to test how well you've been watching it for the past few weeks.
Oh
Weeks?
God,
A few more than a week, though, hey.
it
Obviously,
could
I'm
be
going to avoid
terrible.
any spoiler questions, because obviously, let's test your knowledge a wee bit. Because I was watching this thing on the other day where this YouTube, they decided to have an end of year next gen quiz. It's quite funny, actually. I was like, we should do something silly like that. It's once you're really embedded in it. And I'm like, I wonder how much of DS9 I'd actually remember. Okay, will it tell you the answer straight away? Okay, let's give it a go. You ready for some questions then to test out while you know
Go on
DS9 then?
then. I can't guarantee I'll do very well, but go on.
Let's give it a shot, shall we? What year did the show debut? Was it, for multiple choice is nice, 1989, 1991, or 1993?
Oh, 1993.
Yes, correct. We knew that one. Okay. See, these are actually too easy. Oh, hang on. Deep Space Nine aired during the same period as what other space-themed show? Was it Star Trek Voyager, Star Trek Next Generation, or Battlestar Galactica?
Well, it started off during Next Gen, didn't it? But
Yeah. So,
Voyager overlapped with it as well, didn't it?
yeah. So I wonder which one they've picked. Well, they picked Next Gen. Okay. I think those two answers were more accurate there. All right. These are too easy. Bloody hell. What role does Odo fill on the space station? I'm not even going to give you multiple choice now.
Well, I know they call him Comfortable. Is he like head of security? Is that his
Yeah,
official title?
yeah, Chief of Security.
Chief
Okay.
of
Oh,
security. Yeah.
this one's a bit more interesting then. Before DS9, Avery Brooks played a character on which TV show? Was it Baywatch, Spencer for Hire, or Magnum PI?
Flipping heck.
Yeah, we haven't even mentioned that.
Spencer for Hire.
Correct.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's a good guess.
that was a good guess. All right then. No, can't do that one yet because you haven't got to that yet. So I'll just put the answer because I know what it is. No, it's not. Okay, you got that wrong. Interesting. Okay. Okay. Which character was originally slated to be Cisco's second in command? Was it somebody called Dax? I'm not going to mention the first name because I don't want to give anything away. Worf or Ro Laren? I've definitely mentioned this a few times.
Hmm.
I'll tell you who plays the characters, and then it might give you a hint because I know I've mentioned this. Right, so the actresses would have been Ezra. It would be Nicole DeBurr, or Michael Dorn, or Michelle Forbes.
Michelle Forbes sounds familiar.
Yes, Ro Laren, the
Pearl
Blushard
Aaron.
from Next Gen, who you will be meeting
Okay.
soon because her episode is a massive part of the DS9 Next Gen crossover towards the end of
Right.
this.
So she was originally supposed to be the second in command.
Yeah, originally Ro Laren was created, same as the Kardashians, and so was the building blocks for DS9 when they was developing it. And the intent was to transfer Ro Laren, presumably and Chief O'Brien, over to DS9, so she would have been the visual liaison. But Michelle Forbes at that point didn't really want to commit to a proper series, like guest spots.
Well,
But I mean, I look at it as a double-edged thing that I think Michelle Forbes would have been fantastic. I mean, she is fantastic. She's one of my favorite actresses. As I say, she's one of these people who, when she's on screen, everybody else just looks so crap in comparison. She just has that kind of presence. But we didn't get her, but we did get Nana as Kira, and honestly, that works really good too. So, I mean, it's a damn shame still they never actually got to have a scene together, because that would have been interesting to show that they're actually quite different ideologically, but we never got to that point. All right, let's give you another one. No, I can't do that one because we haven't done this yet. Nope, can't do that one yet. Nope. I mean, you know the answer to this anyway, but I'll go on. Which character from Star Trek Generation became/will become a regular member of Deep Space Nine?
Oh, that would be Worf, won't it?
Correct. Okay. I think I know the answer to this. How fast must ships be traveling in order to enter the wormhole? Is it impulse speed, warp 1, or warp 10?
Impulse, isn't it?
Yes.
They don't have to be going that quickly, do they?
Oh, God, no. Can you imagine? Oops, too quick.
Yeah, exactly. You miss it.
The final scene of the show. Well, we're not going to mention that, are we? Scene of the show. But
If a ship you've never flown before suddenly enters your wormhole, that's impulse.
Oh, God, I hope so. Oh, I remember this. But it's not right. Okay, I got that wrong. So luckily I didn't remember that. So I'm not going to answer it. You can answer instead. Which actor was originally tabbed or pegged?
Tabbed?
Yeah, as Commander Sisko. Was it Alexander Siddig or Siddig El Fadil, also known as to you as Dr. Julian Bashir, Wesley Snipes, or Avery Brooks?
Wow. Wesley Snipes?
That's what I clicked. No. I must have heard this somewhere, but no, it's Siddig.
Really?
Yeah, because apparently when they realised how young he was, they're like, oh, hang on a minute. A bit too young to play the part.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Vaguely familiar, actually.
He doesn't have. He doesn't have anything like the kind of gravitas that you'd need.
Can you imagine?
So,
okay,
yeah.
Go on more. Which beings get credit for creating the wormhole, which apparently is 2 words, but it's not? The Vulcans, the Idols, or the Prophets?
It's the Prophets, isn't it?
Yeah, I know that one. Yeah, it's a bit rubbish quiz. This. We'll have to do a real one day.
Rubbish. He's getting all the answers right.
Yeah,
he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's still getting the answers right.
Too easy. What was the original setting for the show? A desert, a mountainside, or a remote farming community? My guess would be this. No, I guessed wrong.
Remote farming community?
That's what I guessed. Apparently it was a desert.
We got that wrong. A desert? Wow. Deep Space Nine in a desert?
Yeah. Wouldn't have helped, but they could have got very far. How long was each episode? I suppose it depends on the episode, doesn't it? Because some feel like longer than others. Oh. Go on. How long was each episode?
Oh, about 45 minutes.
Correct. Some of these questions are far too easy. This is not very good at all. Yeah, we know that as well. So I'm not going to ask you these questions. No, can't ask you that one because that's a plot spoiler. So that's no good. Okay. Which race owns the station? Is it the Kazon, the Bajorans, or the humans? Although I would say none of them. But, own the station.
Own it?
I know, right? I suppose they claimed it as their own.
Well, the Bajorans probably, don't they? And there's just the humans are just there helping to run it.
Yeah, they're just there.
Or administer it.
Yeah. Oh, no, I can't tell you that one either, because that's a big spoiler for the next season. Okay. Prior to construction of DS9, the Bajorans had freed themselves from which enemy? I'm not even going to give you a multiple choice.
The Kardashians.
The Kardashians. Yes. Oh no, can't give you that because that tells you what's coming up as well. Okay, I have no idea. I can guess. What is the photon torpedo capacity of DS9? Is it 500? Don't know what. 5,000 or 10,000? I guess that's how many photons are in it.
5,000?
Correct.
Oh.
Hey.
That's a guess.
Okay. How many seasons did the show air?
7.
Correct. Again, that one's too easy. Oh, well, honestly, all 3. Quark spends most of his time obsessing about what? Is it power, money, or women? Honestly, is it not all 3?
Yeah, it is. It's all 3. But I'm assuming they want the answer money.
Yeah, that's what I got. I don't know if I've mentioned this to you, I think I've mentioned it. Let's see if you remember. Who did Julian Bashir marry in real life? That would be the actor, not the actual character, obviously.
In real life?
I'm not going to give you multiple choice because I know I've brought this up before.
He's not married to Terry Farrell, is he?
No. He is, in fact, married to Nana Visitor.
Oh, is he?
I'm sure I mentioned
I didn't know that.
There's a plot line later, I'm not going to tell you how or why, where they had to explain away Nana's real-life pregnancy because obviously things happens. And so they write into the show in a clever way, but I'm not going to tell you how. But there's at one point, there's a lovely scene between her and Bashir, and they're arguing. She's like, "You did this. This is your fault." And it makes sense within the context of the narrative on, DS9, but obviously the real world is like, that's clever. That is.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, lasted for quite a while, but they are no longer together.
Oh,
still friends though.
Oh, that's good. So at least conventions aren't horribly awkward.
No. They're fine. All is good. They got a son called Django.
Django?
Diego. I can't remember now. See, that was a bit useless trivia since I can't remember his name.
Yes.
Django.
Thanks for
that. Django. I need to find out now. Hey guys, this turned into a very random episode.
It is.
It's New Year. We pretend to be drunk, you see, and rambling more than usual. Hang on. Let's see. Nana, visitor, son. Right. Son. Django.
You'll get a video. The hits will be a video of a Nana visiting her son.
It is what I said, but how would you pronounce that? DJANGO. Django. Yeah.
Django. Is it
Django Unchained?
Django Unchained.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, it just doesn't sound right now. Because I'm thinking possibly because of bloody Star Wars and Django Fett and all this nonsense, it just doesn't sound right anymore. But,
just got to add add a subtle D to the beginning of it.
Yeah, just
Django.
to make it different. I think she got more than one kid, but certainly that was their son together, who you will kind of see later in the series, but only as a bump.
Only as a bummer?
No. Wow. No, as a bump.
As a bump? Oh, right. So, God.
It's definitely a New Year's episode because we are absolutely talking nonsense.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying my best to hear.
He's not even drinking. Yeah, this is special kind of whiskey.
Right.
And you're drinking
vodka. See a doctor.
You're drinking vodka, apparently. I know.
Yeah.
Well, yes, your kidneys are fine because your water's quite clear.
It is.
My
fresh
water
is a mountain stream.
So I must have some kidney issues, or I'm not drinking enough water. Because that's usually the cause of such things. Anyway, yeah, we are totally rambling now.
Yeah.
So, what's your bottom line, Tim?
My bottom line
Since you
is
mentioned
I got most of those questions right, but
You did.
Playing God was a decent episode, lacking in focus, but enjoyable.
A bit like us then.
Very much like us. Yeah.
Hey, we're bringing the episode to life before you.
We are.
Lacking in focus, but enjoyable. One hopes. But yeah, I'd basically agree with that. I think the A story is really interesting. Again, it's one of those episodes that's more fun to watch than I remember it being. And I often sort of like go, oh, it's that one. Watch it. Like, oh, no, actually, it's quite good. They have, TV episodes always like that where you think, oh, it's that one. But there's usually something you've forgotten about that actually is quite good. But the B story, it's fine. It's just, as you say, not really focused. But it's nice that everybody got their bit. So that's fine. That's fine.
Yes, and if I want closure on my voles, I'll have to wait for another episode, presumably.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they return. Or the infestation isn't over yet. I forget. I feel sure we get more about it at some point. Maybe somebody cooks them. Who knows? It's DS9. Anything could happen. So that was Playing God.
Okay.
And that was us
What have
playing
we got
that.
next week?
Next week, technically, we have nothing because we ain't doing nothing for 2 weeks. Haha. But dear viewer,
Yes.
Tim and I have we're going to do a little shake-up to things to not drag out DS9 exactly, but more to speed along the Who commentary because we'll be there forever otherwise, potentially.
We will. Yes.
It will take years as it is, but it will take crazy amount of years if we're doing it at speed. So what we're going to do from going forward, other than maybe on special occasions where we might just change it up again because life's fun, we're going to be alternating between DS9 and our Doctor Who commentary after the new year, which means for you guys, the next episode will be us returning to Doctor Who to comment on episodes 8 to 10, I guess.
Yeah.
Which would be
episodes 4, 5, and 6 of the Daleks.
Yes.
AKA the mutants, AKA the Dead Planet.
AKA who knows what else could be. Yes. So that'll be fun. That'll be good. And then the week after that, we're back to DS9 for Profit and Loss, I believe.
Okay.
What do you reckon that could be?
Well, hasn't there been another episode with a similar title? It's got to be a Quark episode.
Definitely a Quark episode.
Yeah.
Quite a different Quark episode too, as I remember. I think this would be quite a fascinating look at a different side of him that you've probably not seen before. So
okay.
That's quite fun for you. But that's in 2 weeks, of course. Before
what
that, this is what happens when we record in the evening, see? We've all eaten and they're all like, oh, dear, dear, dear.
Yeah.
Middle age is a bitch.
Middle-aged digestion.
Yeah, not a joke. Maybe having garlic here probably wasn't the best idea before recording the podcast.
Well, we had homemade burgers.
Oh, nice.
They were lovely.
Lovely. Oh, good. I'm glad you enjoyed your homemade burglars.
Did indeed.
Hamburglers. Aha, do you remember him? Gosh, I remember. Do you remember back in the young days of McDonald's when it first came over here? I mean, that when Happy Meals and all that were brand new, and the Hamburglar was their mascot and everything. I think he's kind of just disappeared, hasn't he? Really?
Yeah.
I don't think I've heard mention of him for a very long time. Are you trying to make yourself look more and more drunk as the thing's going on?
Me? No, I just thought a slightly jaunty angle to end on,
A jaunty angle and a jaunty tune to say for old Lang Syne.
Indeed.
We're not singing it.
No, we're not.
I mean,
apart from they don't know the words after the first line, so.
No, it does. Should all again acquaintance be forgot, and ne'er brought to mind? Should all acquaintance be forgot for sake of all design? We'll drink a cup of happiness, happy cheer. Something like I know there's happy cheer in it somewhere. Unless you're Cliff Richard, in which case it's the Lord's Prayer.
No.
Not a
Definitely. No. No shenanigans.
Nope.
No. Look, you're making me nose run now.
Absolutely not, right? Okay, cool. Well, thank you, dear patrons, for joining us.
Yes,
and
indeed.
Thank you, YouTubers and Spotifyers, for watching the very no doubt cut down version of this. Do pop over to Patreon as usual to watch the uncut version, which will include, because I'm not going to put on the YouTube, a wee little sidestep into Quizland, where Tim performs. Well, I guess you'll have to find out. Patrons
yes,
know.
Indeed.
But YouTubers, Spotifyers, go to Patreon, see how well Chris. How. Wow.
Thank you for welcoming us into your homes this year. Thank you for welcoming us into your lives.
Yes, it's been another year.
Being part of the Replimat. We wouldn't be who we are without you lot.
Yes, and so we've done our first full year proper as well. We started I think, August, wasn't it, last year? Year before last year. Last year, still last year, technically. So yeah. In my head, I'm thinking it's New Year now. Bloody hell.
Yeah. You can be turning the calendar over when he gets up in the morning.
Yeah. I will, and I'll be like, I haven't got my new one yet. Why is it not there? And I'll be like, we haven't had Christmas yet, have we?
Oh, well.
But so, as Tim says, thank you for joining us for a first full year of our reactions, with a wee gap occasionally. I think we've had one or two.
Yes, well, everyone needs a wee gap from time to time.
And we do take wee gaps, especially on Patreon.
Well, especially if you're drinking, we do.
Every now and then. What is drinking we do?
So, yes.
Yes. So, yes. As always, like, subscribe, all that nonsense.
It does help.
Below. It does help. Get us noticed.
Gives us an enormous sense of well-being.
And it might eventually expand our audience. I mean, it's definitely grown. So hopefully we will continue to do so in the next year, in 2024.
And if our original viewer and listener are still watching and listening, thank you.
Yeah, bloody hell. Well done, you. We've rambled enough now. We're near the hour mark.
Yes, we have. And so, yes, for the last time in the space year 2023, I've been Tim. And
I've been Andy.
Together we've been the Replimat.
And thank you for enjoying it.
You've been entertained.
Hopefully. And if not, then that's Tim's fault.
Probably, yeah. Write to Andy and tell him. But,
just shake your fist at me and I'll be like, yeah.
Until 2024?
Yes. Until 2024. We'll see you next year. Until then.
Bye-bye, Duggan.
Bye-bye, Duggan, indeed. Toodaloo. Grief. That one went well.
No, that was fine.
That was fine. That was something else. Oh, so I mean, well, that's all right then.